Abnormal things occur in both life and sports. Regardless of whether through an arbitrary incident, a demonstration of God, or simply unfortunate choices, we've encountered some somewhat odd occasions in the realm of sports. More often than not, these occasions are so bizarre that they are forgettable events, gone forever. Here are the 10 most bizarre moments in sports history to happen on the field of play. 10. Hitting a bird with a baseball. Baseball has been somewhat cruel to birds for a long time. Randy Johnson once decimated a pigeon that had the unfortunate timing of flying between the hill and home plate while he was amidst conveying a fastball. Yet, Johnson's by all accounts is not the only ball player to do this. A few players have transformed routine fly balls into duplicates or fair hits by striking a bird in mid-flight. The vast majority of these occurrences are unintentional, yet Dave Winfield once intentionally killed a seagull in Toronto with a warm-up throw, a demonstration that got him arrested. And there's the situation of Jae-Kook Ryu, a Korean baseball player in the Chicago Cubs organization in 2003 who took things to an unheard-of level. Ryu was blamed for deliberately hitting and wound-up injuring an osprey settling on a light shaft in 2003, which prompted a difficult situation for him and the team. 9. The disappearing ball. Probably the most interesting occasion in baseball occurred in one of the weirdest baseball arenas, the Hubert H. Humphrey Metrodome in Minneapolis. In 1984, Oakland slugger Dave Kingman struck an ordinary, though rather towering, pop fly that went up towards the Metrodome's rooftop. It stayed away forever. The ball by one way or another figured out how to strike a hole in the opening in the rooftop and got stuck between the two layers of texture. However, nobody knew it at that point. The umpires, players, and fans sat tight briefly before Kingman was, in the end, granted a double as far as concerns him in the missing ball. 8. The passing of Chuck Hughes. The NFL is an incredibly tough game, so it's somewhat amazing that just a single player has kicked the bucket on the field of play, particularly considering the number of professional soccer players who have passed away on field during games. Hughes was drafted by the Eagles and played in Philadelphia for a very long time before a trade sent him to the Lions. On October 24, 1971, Hughes, a wide receiver and a player on special teams, endured a cardiovascular failure during a standard passing route. While going into team huddle after the play, Hughes fell and suddenly died on the spot. It was subsequently uncovered that Hughes had a previous condition, arteriosclerosis, and that his arteries were seriously damaged and blocked, adding to the attack. 7. Pedro Martinez vs. Don Zimmer. Yankees vs. Red Sox is a legendary rivalry, and the 2003 ALCS demonstrated that. During Game 3, the two organizations emptied their dugouts for a fight that resembled most baseball fracases, a great deal of pushing and punching. Disastrously, 72-year-old Don Zimmer had different thoughts. Zimmer rushed at Pedro Martinez in a clear attempt to assault him. Martinez nonchalantly tossed Zimmer to the ground, where he would stay for a few minutes as the clinical staff took care of him. It's uncommon for a coach to be so associated with these things. However, a 72-year-old coach assaulting a player is unfathomable. Subsequently, Zimmer would give an answer and question session after the game where he would apologize for his activities. 6. Establishing the club. In golf, establishing is characterized as contacting the club to the ground prior to swinging. It appears to be an innocuous enough activity, yet it's a two-stroke punishment when you do it in a danger, for example, a sand trap, as Dustin Johnson can advise you. At Whistling Waterways in 2010, Johnson grounded his club in a dugout prior to making his effort during the last season finisher. Dustin didn't have the foggiest idea about the standard and was evaluated a two-stroke punishment and ended up completing in the 5th spot. What made this much more bizarre was that Johnson didn't realize he was in a bunker. Johnson insisted that the region of the course was a patch of stomped-on soil that the spectators had made, despite the fact that tournament officials had recently pronounced these zones were very hazardous. Johnson finished out his round without realizing he was really 2 strokes down. 5. The tripleheader. Since 1900, there's been only one tripleheader played in the major leagues. It occurred on October 2, 1920, during the last 7-day stretch of the season between the Reds and the Pirates. A fading Reds team made this plan a reality when it was resolved that 4 additional losses and 4 additional victories by the following Pirates would mean the Pirates would come in just short of the playoffs. Realizing his team was 3.5 games out and needing to complete these games on arrangement after a series of recent rainouts, the Pirates ownership proposed an extreme thought: play a triple-header. It took some convincing from the National League, yet it occurred, and to date, it's just one time at that point that a triple-header was played. They played the first game around early afternoon in 3 hours and 3 minutes. The subsequent game began quickly and went 18 innings, an accomplishment they achieved in only 1 hour and 56 minutes. They played the third game in record time, 1:01. By and large, the Reds and Pirates played 3 games in 5 hours. 4. Referee handles player. During an LSU vs. South Carolina football matchup in 2008, an official affected a game in a surprising manner: he tackled the quarterback. There was never a clarification offered with regards to why this official turned out to be so associated with the play. One should wonder with respect to his expectations, or in the event that he had some cash riding on the game, or just got surprised during the activity. During a messed up play, the South Carolina quarterback tucked the ball and ran downfield into the open. The only individual in his direct way was the ref, who mysteriously ventures up and tackles the quarterback, who is then handled by an LSU player. 3. Manu Ginobili and the bat. It's not bizarre for creatures to break into arenas. There are various records of squirrels, canines, birds, and others living in the arenas and, in any event, entering the field of play, yet what occurred in San Antonio in 2009 was somewhat surprising. At a Spurs/Suns game, there were multiple times a bat started doing flybys on the court. The officials were considering how to deal with this abrupt obstruction when Manu Ginobili assumed control over the issue, in a real sense. Ginobili smacked the bat out of midair as it flew by him. He calmly got it and walked it off court and gave it over to an arena worker, and play continued as though nothing peculiar had occurred. 2. Roger Clemens tosses the bat. If a mishap, the Mike Piazza vs. Roger Clemens at-bat during a 2000 World Series game was an abnormal undertaking. In the first inning, this game got weird when Piazza hit a foul ball which broke his bat. By unadulterated luck, the barrel of the bat flew towards Clemens like a ground ball and sprung up into his glove. Clemens promptly fired the bat off the field as Piazza was running down the line, almost hitting him. The two teams emptied their dugouts due to the incident. Clemens regularly claimed he was simply removing the bat from the field. However, think about the world stage, the World Series, and the tradition and history. 1. Royal fight at the Palace. No occasion is more disturbing and unusual than what occurred in Detroit in 2004. During a game that got intense and touchy, Steven Jackson and Ron Artest would famously start what has been known as the malice at the Palace. After a progression of hard fouls and a technical foul or two, Ron Artest accomplished something rather moronic. He climbed up and afterwards sat down on the scorer's table. While generally an innocent act in itself, it came after tons of pushing and pulling and an unmistakable absence of control on the ref's part. A fan chose to throw a full cup of water on Artest, starting a somewhat unordinary arrangement of disturbing events. Artest surged into the stands and started fighting with fans. He was before long joined by Steven Jackson, who was likewise battling fans. In the interim, a skirmish broke out on the court. Jermaine O'Neal tossed punches and a number of the Pistons escaped from the court. The incident is one of the biggest, darkest moments in NBA basketball history. It prompted significant changes in how organizations handle these issues and featured an unmistakable absence of control on the arena's part to keep fans and players independent. For success, attitude is equally as important as ability. Walter Scott. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to give this video a like and comment down below. Also share this video. Until next time, this is Bizarre Sports.